Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Life It Ahead podcast. I'm your host, Nick Rodriguez, and I'm thrilled to have you join us today. In this episode, we're taking you behind the scenes of the biggest conferences in tech to uncover what it takes to make Ahead's presence impactful and unforgettable. I'll be talking with members of our talented, experienced marketing team to learn how they create memorable experiences for attendees and drive meaningful opportunities for our business. We'll hear from our national events manager about the planning and strategy behind these events, a field marketing specialist about the on-the-ground execution, and one of our senior leaders about the incredible impact these conferences have on our business and client relationships. Get ready for an exciting conversation about creativity, teamwork, and the power of making an impact. Let's dive in. All right, listeners, I've got Brooke here with me today. Brooke is on the Experience Marketing team. Brooke, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. You and I have gotten to hang out a little bit. For the folks who don't have the pleasure of knowing you, do you mind introducing yourself real quick?
Of course. So my name is Brooke Zamet. I am the field marketing manager for the Northeast here at Ahead, which basically means that I am in charge of planning all of the amazing experiences in my patch, which would include Boston, the Philly metro area, New York, New Jersey, and the DMV, which is sometimes Delaware, Maryland, Virginia. Maybe I could talk to other people, might be considered DC, Maryland, Virginia. So depends on who you're talking to, but that's what I do
Uh,
here at Ahead.
awesome. Very cool. How long you been doing experience marketing?
It will be 3 years in June, which is very exciting. Yeah. I can't believe
All
it's already
right.
be 3 years.
Yeah, very cool. What kind of got you into it?
Well, funny enough, I actually was a teacher for 10 years before
Oh.
coming to Ahead. And this role sort of fell into my lap. I had known somebody from another partnership that we have. I was a babysitter for her since I was 15 years old. And she knew that I was leaving teaching. And she said that at the time, it was CDI. So at the time, I was looking for a new job. And she's like, marketing would totally be great for you. I think that you would be wonderful this role. If you know anything about teachers, we are very organized. We, tend to like things in a certain order. We're good with talking to people. And then the role sort of evolves to where I am now in experience marketing here at Ahead. It's a lot of fun. I really, really enjoy what I do here.
That's awesome. I'm curious, how do you bring creativity into your role, whether it's that planning, the setup, the interactions, the follow-up, where does that fit in?
So I would feel like creativity is very much on like an ebb and flow sort of design. And I like to follow the phrase of like work smarter. So like we're in a world of 2025 where there's lots of resources at your fingertips. So aside from my
Mm-hmm.
amazing group of colleagues that do the same thing that I do, each market is very different. So,
Yeah.
my colleague out in the West, Emily, is going to have a very different market than me in New York. So we often will collaborate on ideas, and that's where a lot of the creativity will come from. But it's also nice to be able to pull up your phone and go on TikTok and type in some, term like experience event or corporate planning. And all of a sudden you have this list of ideas that you never would have really thought about before. Some things
Yeah.
you thought about, but just are amplified by the idea of somebody else already doing it. Um, so I really just like to use things that are resourceful, work smarter. My job is already quite hard to begin with, so make it harder, not necessarily what I want to be doing. I like to believe
Yeah.
creative, like creative in general, but it's hard to constantly think of ideas. It's okay to look for resources that are going to help generate an amazing experience for our client and our partners. Um, so that's kind of like where I like to start. Talk to my colleagues, see what ideas they've come up with, what's worked in their patch, but then also just taking advantage of what's at my fingertips. TikTok,
Yeah.
media, um, friends that I have that are might be in the same industry or not, all different types of things. So that's kind of where the spark of creativity starts with the planning. And then once I get planning, it's just like a snowball from there. Spark of creativity, and then it kind of just evolves throughout the planning process.
Yeah, and so you said that you pivoted from teaching into this, and it's been 3 years. What do you think, kinda got you from, the starting line to where you're at now? How have you navigated that?
Asking questions. Honestly, I think that as a teacher, I'm like a lifelong learner. And
Mhm.
I feel that in order for me to do well in whatever role I'm going to be doing, I need to be able to ask questions and learn from either mistakes or learn from my growth. So when I first started, I literally felt like I knew nothing, especially when you're in the
Mm.
tech world. You throw the tech terms, the acronyms, it
The
takes it to a
acronyms, yes.
whole nother, a whole nother ball game. So once you just get comfortable with asking questions and luckily having a team that's offering you the answers is a really key part of where I have grown from where I first started to where I am now in experience. And also confidence. I think once you gain a little bit of confidence that you know what you're doing and people are giving you the ability to go and do it, makes a world of difference. I've only been in this particular role for less than a year, and I already
Oh,
feel like I've learned so much, and my team has given me so much opportunity to do what I feel is best for this role, not necessarily,
yeah.
you know, what every other person in experience marketing is doing. Like, what is Brooke doing for her patch? And I feel very
Mhm.
grateful for that, that there's, that room for growth.
Yeah, and maybe the listeners caught on there, but I was absolutely surprised to hear that you've only been in this role for a year. I'm like, "Oh, no," I'm like, in my head, I'm like, Brooke's the expert. She's SME.
I
She
appreciate
experience
that.
marketing, lives and breathes it. So, yeah, you
Yeah,
definitely
so
have the confidence.
yeah, so, like, field marketing, like, I was more of, like, a junior role when I first came here. I learned a
Mhm.
lot. Shout out to Jen Morgenstern, Katie Percy, and Alyssa Hall on the marketing team. They really helped me be more confident, and then when we were acquired by a head, I was ready and rolling. I was like, "What can I do to make this role even better?" So I feel very grateful to my new team for giving me those opportunities. But yeah, I'm happy to hear you say that. That means I'm doing something right.
Oh, for sure, yeah, shout out to your team, that's awesome. Um, kinda like over this time of you learning and growing, and, like, kinda, like, becoming really confident in this role, what do you think are some of the small but, like, really impactful details that you focus on to make an event or an experience successful?
So I really like this question because I feel like when you're planning an event, it's easy to do the big logistical things. You're calling the venues, you're, right, getting the contracts, but it really boiled down to the client experience there. And what I try to do is I'm really good with names. So I can look at a registration list maybe 100 times before an event actually happens. And when you come to the registration desk and you give me your first name, I will remember your name. I will remember an email that you may have sent. I'll be like, oh yeah, Nick, I remember like on Brock, you probably got like 20, 25 emails from me this week. And they're like, not only do I know them and have made them feel comfortable, now they're like, oh, you know, I do get 25 emails from you a day. Now she's like, lightening the mood. Now we're connecting on a more personal level. So to me, like my friends at work, like affectionately call me Rain Man because I am so good with names that I could
Y
be in any kind of situation, especially at a golf outing where I will just be able to remember someone's name and face quite easily. And I feel like that is one minor detail that makes people's experience go from like 0 to 100, because it just makes it more personable. Like, there could be 150 people
100%.
at this event, but they feel like they're the only one there, and that
Mhm.
event is now special to them. So they're not just
Yeah.
another name in the face. So
I'll provide a testimonial to this. So, for our listeners, I used to be on the marketing department. They recently, I don't know about recently, but probably about 6 months ago, they had an onsite here in the Chicagoland area, and I happened to be in the office on that day. And I got invited to the bowling event, and you were like one of the first people who walked up and said hi to me. You're just like, hey, what's going on? I was like, oh, cool. I feel so like welcomed here and seen, sort of thing. And when you can do what like it's easy to be like, I'm one of 100 people here, but when you do what you do, like that's really special. And I got to experience it kind of maybe on a little bit of a smaller scale, but like I felt that impact. So thank you, bro.
well, you're welcome. I'm really glad that, that carried over because I do feel like that was one of the big things I learned from teaching is once you connect with a student, if you know their name, that you got them. Like,
Mhm.
if they're just student A, B, C, or D, you've lost any kind of like almost respect from them. So I try to make people feel good about being where they are, taking time away from their family, taking time away from their friends to do business for them, but I'm trying to make their experience the best it could be. So remembering names is
Yeah.
a big thing that I try to do to make it just a little bit more intimate, a little bit more enjoyable for the people that are coming to the event.
Yeah, it works. That's awesome. From your perspective, like, how do these events create, like, opportunities for a head?
So really what it comes down to is that we are creating an experience. So
Mhm.
I sometimes get a little bit jaded by the term party planner. Oh, you're a party planner. You're a party planner.
Mhm.
And we're
Mhm.
not. We're truly not. And there's nothing wrong with being a party planner. In this role, it's much different. We are creating experiences, very high-end experiences that are going to allow our clients and our partners to have opportunity to learn about what a head does and how to make them more successful by joining with a head so that their
Mhm.
businesses can grow, we can grow collaboratively. So when I'm planning an event, it's very much me thinking about the client first and what are they going to get from the experience, not just the nice giveaway. It is more than that. Of course, that is a perk and probably why a lot of them like to come because they know that at the end of this, they put the time in and now they're going to get something worth their while. But also the technical pieces. Like when I talk to the technical teams, marketing has, you know, arms and a tentacle and everywhere in a head. I talk to people
Mhm.
all over the company all day long. So when I talk to my engineers and people who are going to present at an event, we come up with the content that we know is best going to be delivered to our clients so that they leave not only with something tangible, but the knowledge they need to make a decision to do more business with a head. And I think that
Yeah.
that is a key piece for what experience
Yeah.
marketing does.
Yeah, the way you're kinda talking about it is like, okay, like a giveaway event. Like, I'm gonna go to that event because the giveaway, I'm like, "Oh, you know what? I want that thing." And I know that that's a guaranteed value for my time spent there. But it's almost like when you get there, that's where you have the chance to razzle dazzle, and all of a sudden you're like, "Wow, I didn't know I had did that," or "I didn't know that we could partner with them like that," or whatever it is. So, I came for the ice cream, but I'm staying for the partnership.
Exactly. That's it, like,
Yeah.
could not have said it better myself, Nick. Like, that is exactly how I picture what I do. Like, what am I doing on a day to day? It's, yeah, I'm going to do marketing. I'm gonna market you to get to our event, but once you're there, I'm going to make sure that it is worth your while. Not just tangibly, but also something that maybe you learned something, maybe you connected with somebody. Maybe
Yeah.
your network grew. Whatever it is, I wanna be able to give you the opportunities because you came to an ahead event, and that is everything that you got from our event, not necessarily, event down the street or, because that's happened too. We've had events where it's in competitive, where you're both posting after a conference. Which event are you gonna
Mhm.
go to? Are you gonna go to
Mhm.
this event, or are you gonna go to a heads event? And hopefully they choose a heads event. So
Well, it's
that's how
because
I
you
feel about
remembered
that
their name.
experience, creating the opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so awesome. I'm like right now. I'm like, cool. Can I just go like work for one of our clients up in the in your patch? Like, I'd love to go to one of the events.
You're always welcome, Nick. Come on over.
Ah,
Come
thanks,
home.
bro. No, I'm trying. I'm trying to get out there. I definitely want to go see the new New York office. I want to get out into the Northeast. That's on my
You
list.
have to. We're planning tons of events in the office just because it's so beautiful.
I'm curious, like over so you've been doing this for 3 years and then a little over a year now to head, but like, what do you think has been your most rewarding moment working on an experience and why?
So this is a hard question because
Mm,
there are so many rewarding things about hosting an event. And I remember like very vividly saying this in my first interview ever was that it must be such a reward to like plan, host, execute, and then follow up. And then when you're done, you get feedback, and it's like, this was great. Like it's obviously what you want to hear. Um,
okay.
it's so hard to pinpoint one specific thing because what I will say with experience is that We, as the experienced team, especially events, we get the, like, immediate feedback. "You're so good at your job. You throw great parties. We love what you do." But there is a huge group of individuals on my team behind me that support me, from the branding team to the comms team to the, like, social media. Like, I can't do any of what I do without them. So, when it comes down to what the best parts of a an event is, I have a lot to be thankful for, but I do have to say that recently, shout out to my MD, Ben Solomon in New York, who approached me at an event and he said, "You make this all look so easy." And he's like, "You make the clients feel at home, you handle the logistics effortlessly." And that to me was just kind of solidified, like, all of the hard work I had done up to that event, to just hearing that immediately was like, that is why I do this. It's about my team who's gotten me there, and it's about the clients and my colleagues who are enjoying the event that I put on. So, if I had to pinpoint just one really amazing piece of the events recently, I would have to say that was one of the nicest compliments I've received. There's a million other things. I have a whole folder that's literally called kudos, just over the years of people who just have taken the time to just reach out and just say thank you. Just a simple
Yeah,
thank you goes such a long way. And I'm not ever looking for it. I'm not disappointed if I don't hear it. But when you do, it like makes your whole week. And I feel
to-
like that's in life in general.
absolutely agree. Yes, I'm a big gratitude guy. Like, I
Yes.
thank you. 2 words, so easy to say. Look at the kind of impact it can have on someone.
It could
What?
totally change somebody's entire day by just saying
Yeah.
those 2 words. So,
And I'm the same way. I've got my little feedback folder. Actually, I quarterly I put together like a collage of all the feedback that I've ever that I
yeah,
received during that. And our employee recognition platform that we use internally makes it so easy for me to like get on there and give my kudos, but also for me to go like look at my wall and be like, oh my gosh,
yeah,
this is
like,
what everyone's had to say.
it means something, and that's why I think it's so important for me to always remember that it's not just me, like, this is not a one-woman show by any means. I have a whole team of people who deserve more recognition on most days. I just am the one that's the face of the event, so when I'm
Hmm.
there, it's much easier for them to say, "Thank you, Brooke," when I could be like, "Oh, but wait, you have to thank all of the other people that are on the marketing team."
Cool. Well, I got one last question for you.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to for the rest of the year?
Um, in regards to work
Sure, whatever it is.
or life or both? Well,
Por qué no las dos?
I have to say, like, when it comes to work, there is a little bit of a reprieve for, that Q3 summertime. Things slow
Hmm.
down a little bit to gear us up for that Q4 golf season. So I'm very much looking forward to, like, step back a little bit with the event side of things and maybe just doing more of the happy hours on the terrace and things like that, like, where it's just, like, beautiful days and people are laid back and enjoying their families on vacation and things like that.
I
Excited.
love that. And one of the things you talked about earlier for experience marketing and like generating ideas or whatever was going into like TikTok and checking out some of the reels. I never thought about that for experience marketing, but when you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what me and my wife do when we're going on
Mm.
vacation somewhere. We're like, kind of check it out. And all of a sudden
Oh,
I was like, why?
there you
Of
go.
course you can use this
Exactly.
for work.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So,
Just type it into the
well,
search bar and you'll probably have a whole vacation planned by the end of the week.
there you go. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Brooke, thank you so much for your time and jumping on here to share a little bit more about experience marketing and the kind of impact it can have on, the people in the business. I know I learned a ton and, I just really appreciate your time today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Thanks, Brooke.
Yeah, thanks, Nick.
Welcome, listeners. I have Caitlin here with me today. Caitlin, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How about you?
Thank you for asking. I feel like a lot of the times on the host, it's just like people are expecting questions and then like they only give answers. They forget. You can ask me questions too, but I'm just going to flip the question back on you. But no, doing great. Thank you.
Touche.
Yeah, thank you for asking. You and I go pretty far back, right? We're on
Mhm.
the marketing. Well, I was on the marketing team when you originally came in, and as an often admin, I got to see you move into the marketing team. Really have a major impact on experiences in general, whether it's for employees or for our clients. But that's my benefit of knowing you. But for the rest of our audience who doesn't know you or who don't know you, do you mind doing a quick introduction, a little bit about your role and what you do?
Sure. So I'm Caitlin de Guzman. I am our national events manager here at Ahead. So that covers all things from partner conferences and experiences to our summits that we do on a larger scale 4 times a year and all things swag. So um, I'm based out of Chicago, but it's a pretty national role. So all across the country.
Yeah, absolutely. I see you traveling everywhere. I think like you're a frequent flyer to Vegas.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you're talking about swag, I think we got some of the best in the biz.
Thank you.
Everyone, all the watchers. I'll see all my shirts and everything, but the water bottles, we had the AirPods, like all the other stuff. It's been really amazing. Thank you for thinking about us as employees.
Thanks.
I'm curious. Before we even get started, you're talking about some of the national events and everything else. Like, what is it about your role that you like really enjoy?
There's a lot of things. I would say some of the biggest are creating relationships. So, a lot of these higher touch events or larger scale events from a national perspective, you meet some of the same clients and obviously internal Headians at the events themselves. So, it's nice to kind of create the relationships and see how the events made an impact in their customers' life journey within technology, and then to just kind of creating friendships and relationships there has been huge for me. I also think it's a kind of a cliche statement, I would say, from anyone in the events world, but no single day is the same, um, which is nice because then obviously you don't get bored. And it's a
Hmm.
lot of really stretching your boundaries, making sure that you're trying to research new ideas, things that are trending, trying to think outside of the box for our customers. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And but I think that's lays ourselves to a lot of our values, right? We talk about
Mhm.
collaborate. You're saying the relationships are super important for that, but I think something, maybe something I only know because I've had exposure to this is how much innovation actually goes into our experiences and everything we're doing. I mean, like the finest details that people would probably overlook. But I'm curious, can you give us like a high level overview of what goes into planning Ahead's presence at these major tech conferences that you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a really strategic process, typically starts months in advance. Overall goal being to make sure that we're creating like a meaningful and engaging experience that strengthens our brand, but also drives business results. So,
Hmm.
Um, I guess high level, a few things would be, when we set our objectives, we're trying to make sure that we think through key goals like thought leadership, if it's gonna be a lead generation or entertainment scenario or both, and then just networking to make sure that we're shaping the strategy there. And then 2, with, like, sponsorships and partnerships, evaluating if we need a booth space or a speaking opportunity or maybe co-hosting, activities with partners so we can maximize the visibility there. And then 2, or another one, experience planning, so trying to, um, create things like VIP programs, which we have quite a few of those now for our partner conferences. Um, Trying to create something sort of interactive at the booth, cool demos, giveaways, all of that kinda stuff. And then, I guess high level, like, making sure that we're executing and planning all the logistics appropriately, from setting up the booth, staffing the booth, making sure everyone's good on their travel for the event, and then on the other side of things, making sure that we do things like promotion and outreach, targeted emails, social media, personal invites from our sales team, and then just trying to make sure that we're driving attendance and engagement. Obviously, everything on site and afterwards as well, just to making sure that we're providing high touch interactions and um, nurturing leads and the post event process.
Holy cow.
It's a lot.
That is a lot of moving pieces.
Long
Absolutely.
story long. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think like is like your secret ingredient for being able to like manage all of this simultaneously?
Oh, well, I got to hire a second person this year, which is great.
Yeah.
So obviously, as we've grown and scaled, we've needed to grow and scale our team. So as a team of
Mhm.
one, me in the beginning, and then over the time, I think now we have like 7 or 8 of us experienced marketers and partner marketers, so it's nice to have a full team to help with the scope of all the work, but I think really just trying to stay disciplined and organized is huge.
Hmm.
Making sure that we're creating a schedule of when things will be released and trying to find the right kind of, full scope schedule to make sure things kind of fall in line with what works
Yeah.
best for people to register and people feel like they're communicated with, and we have enough time to secure their time, at events, so
Yeah, that razor thin line between over communicating and under
Mm.
communicating, and it's constantly moving anyway. So you're just like,
No such
we'll see
thing
where
as
the wind blows.
overcommunication. Yeah,
Ah, there we go. Yeah, I like
yeah.
that. When I think you and I both know there's the plan, and then there's like what happens, and hopefully it's
Sure.
mostly the plan. But like, what are some of the biggest challenges that you face when you're planning these events, and how do you overcome them?
Yeah, I guess there's a few, so I would say, number 1, standing out.
Hmm.
Obviously, you're in an expo hall with thousands of other strategic partnerships, and partners with that specific, uh, vendor, like OEM that's has a conference itself, so you have to try to
Hmm.
find a way to make sure that we're eye-catching and we're getting people's attention, and then 2, like, standing out, like, if we have an ancillary event, like a reception or a baseball game or something during that conference week that we're the cool event that they wanna go to. So, like, we stand out enough amongst all of the other activities that are happening from competitors or other partners that are having events for their customers or mutual customers that we are the cool event that they wanna attend, so that's huge. I guess too, like, you're always gonna have issues with some sort of coordination or logistical thing, so just trying to make sure that you set yourself up well for tackling anything that could potentially go wrong. Um,
Hmm.
and then I guess for driving attendance, just making sure that we're posting it on all possible avenues, so whether it's social, whether it's our ASU reps that are helping, drive attendance or just sales reps in general. And then any sort of, targeted email campaigns, all of the ways that we can try to get our customers to attend it is huge. And then obviously you have the struggle things of budget. Like, we could do some really amazing things, but nowadays they cost a lot of money. So just trying to
Yeah.
make sure that we're prioritizing what makes sense from a business standpoint, but then also what cool things can we bring.
Yeah. I'm actually really interested in the first part you were saying is like, how do you have an event that stands out? I'm curious, like, what do you like, what's one event or like a couple of events that stand out to you that you thought, wow, this is something we're really cool that we're doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pick one, so I guess I can give a few highlights from
Yeah.
I would say it's the coolest part of my job is that I get to partake in some of these things. I guess we had a leadership summit in Napa Valley 2 years ago and got to have this incredible dinner for our customers in a vineyard, that straddled both Napa and Sonoma counties, and it
Yeah.
was stunning. I've never experienced something so cool and had, like, this amazing guitar player, a painter that painted the whole scope of the table as we were eating, like,
Wow.
really cool, thoughtful gestures that you wouldn't be able to partake I mean, you could partake in that on your own dime, but
Mhm.
nice to provide that for our customers.
Yeah.
Another thing that comes to mind is, last year's financial services summit,
Hmm.
was hosted at one of our customers' offices, and we had Hamilton, 6 people from the Hamilton past
Yes.
and current cast come and perform, I think it was, like, 3 numbers.
Wow.
Um, so just kind of cool things that are out of the box that just pique people's interest and have them like going, "Wow, I have never done something like that," or haven't experienced that, or I wasn't expecting that.
Hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of the times when we think about experience marketing, what I see a lot on social media, it's golf outings, it's happy
Mhm.
hours, it's lunch and learns, whatever it is, and those can be effective in the right place and time. But when you're talking about standout, and you've got a musician, a painter, uh, actors,
Yeah.
like you're talking about something really different there, and that sounds
Mhm.
awesome.
Yep.
When you're trying to like plan these events, like some of the coordination that you were talking about, logistics, the people, the clients, everything, like how do you work with other teams like sales and the rest of the marketing department to ensure that events align with like what our broader goals
Yeah, I guess working cross collaboratively is huge and definitely key. So from I guess let's start from like top down or just from some of the teams that we work with. So sales alignment is incredibly important. So making sure that
are?
we're identifying the right customers and prospects to make sure that we're inviting the right people to be in the room and shaping our outreach appropriately. And then obviously scheduling things like meetings or VIP experiences and making sure that we can fit into their schedules. From a marketing coordination standpoint, our marketing team has grown tremendously, obviously, with all of our
Yeah.
acquisitions too. So
Mhm.
this is changing every day as our team's getting larger and larger. But I think it's helpful now that we've broken it out into kind of different segments of marketing that we work with each of those to make sure that we're providing the best possible experience from a holistic marketing perspective. So whether it's brand at a conference to make sure that we're having airport ads as someone arrives to Las Vegas and they see ahead right in baggage claim, to making sure that all of our like design needs and on-site design pull-up banners and things are all to brand standards and look are catchy and look cool and get people's attention. And then two, from like a content pillar perspective of marketing, making sure that we're providing great thought leadership, helping with our, strategy at the booth from booth design, and 2 from, like, assets and demos and things that we have at our booth or within the conference itself.
Mhm.
Um, and then I would say in terms of, like, executive and SME involvement, making sure that we have their buy-in and also their availability when need be for speaking sessions or briefings on site for Dell Tech World in our hospitality suite or something like that, just to make sure that we have their buy-in and their availability is huge. And then partner collaboration is always huge because we want to make sure that we are working with our partners to promote some of these events at conferences or just events within our summits and things like that. So that way we can have them help speak to where they add value for our customers. And then too, from a sponsorship perspective, it's nice to have both of us collaboratively coming together to bring good news and or bring our customers together for networking perspectives.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, it's like two things. One, it seems like experience marketing is like the hub for a lot of spokes of the business coming together, where it's like it's
Mhm.
almost like little microcosms of like everything that we can do, but like like flexing in certain areas. So like whether we're at the Nvidia conference or the AWS conference or whatever it is,
Yeah.
just kind of like adjusting to that. But it's like you have the best of the best of our company. You have a standout event. You have thought leaders, you have executives, you have our partners and our strategic partnerships. And I see that all the time on our social media that we are working with our other partners when we're doing
Oh
things.
man.
So it's just like, it's all of it happening at once. And it's just, yeah, Vegas a couple days, but some of these other events, for an afternoon, it's just like flash in the pan, like ahead, like pure ahead sort of thing
Yeah.
happening. That's awesome to see.
Yeah. How we can make a lasting impression no matter where.
Yeah, definitely. I'm curious, like, what do you think? Like, we talked about the musicians, the painting, the beautiful parts of our country that we can take our clients to entertain them. But like, what do you think is kind of like the formula to ensuring that an ahead event stands out in like a crowded conference environment?
Sure. I mean, I guess the most recent one was NVIDIA GTC, and although we kinda came into the game a little bit later than desired, we still try to make the best splash that we could. So I guess I'll use this one as an example, but, we really worked cross collaboratively with a lot of teams within Ahead to make sure that we had boots on the ground, attending sessions and providing their feedback on new releases and things that were released that week by Jensen and others on stage and in individual sessions. So they could either do a blog write up after or just provide their quick feedback as to like what they took away from those, as well as we won
Okay.
an award. So trying to make sure that we were highlighting our Rising Star Award there, and then two from like uh, our booth placement was in a separate section of the hall, but we were right at the front, so we tried to make sure we were, I guess, welcoming as possible, had our staff there ready to answer questions, had a loop reel of our, like, hatch and foundry offerings and liquid cooling capabilities that are new, so we tried our best to, even though we weren't placed where we really wanted to be, we tried to make the most of it where we were, just by everything else that we could provide from the booth. We did have the best swag, and people kept coming up for more of it, so
Heck yeah.
I'll, do one of those, but,
Kudos.
it was, I think, just trying to make the most of what is offered with whatever specific sponsorship you have and make sure that we're
Yeah.
presenting ourselves in a good light.
Yeah, I think this kind of goes back to what you were talking about with some of the planning, right? Like expect
Mhm.
challenges, things are going to happen. You are dealt a hand. You got to play it, right? Like what do you can make the most out of it or you can fold, right? And so
Sure.
like we're not the
Yeah.
type of people to fold. We're ready to play big. And so I think that's awesome, right? Like we get, hey, our positioning isn't great, but guess what? We're going to make the most out of it. And
Mhm.
also what I said earlier, I think we had the best swag. What was our swag? What kept people coming back?
Well, I guess I would say it was things that they could use while they were there. So
Yeah.
obviously at a
Smart.
conference in a dry conference center, you're like, "I need chapstick." I
Mm,
could really use some
didn't think
mints
of that.
right now. We were also positioned really close to the candy bar, so people wanted to go and get candy. But on top of that,
Mm.
we had things like golfing divot tools, socks, like those little stress poppers, all the fun things. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I was like, I always need an extra pair of socks at a conference, but
yeah. Those
they
actually went, like, first. That and we had this, like, Downy
people
wrinkle
love
releaser,
socks.
which if people's clothes were wrinkly from their travel,
There we
they yeah.
go. Little
Yeah.
refresh center, right? Hey, we got your mints, we got your chapstick, get the wrinkles out, like, we want you looking your best. So that's smart, I love it.
Tchotchke-like things, but still nice to have.
Yeah. I'm curious, like, what do you think are overrated tchotchkes, and what do you think are, like, underrated tchotchkes?
Oh, it's hard because every person's view of a tchotchke is different. Because some people like taking them home to their kids, and then some people are like,
Mhm.
"I only wanna use what I'm gonna use, and I have too many
Yeah.
things, so I wanna get rid of
Mhm.
it." So, yeah, like, 2 ends of the spectrum,
Yeah.
so
What are
everyone's idea.
Caitlin's favorite tchotchkes?
Um, shoot. I would also agree, I like things that I can use right then and there, so, like, I love a pen, a good pen, um,
Mhm. Yeah.
a notebook, chapstick always, yeah, I think similar to the stuff that we had, but also to just things that you can use.
Yeah, for sure. I forgot what conference I was at, but they were, like, handing out, like, those little, like, fan misters sorta thing,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then, like, by the afternoon, you see, like, hundreds of people, like,
Walking
all
around missing themselves.
misting and you're like, "Dang, alright, that hit." Awesome. The last question I got for you here, well, I shouldn't promise that, but, like, the last question I scheduled for you here is, what's the most unexpected or surprising thing that you've learned about experience and event planning during your time at AHEAD?
Oh, I don't know if I just have one, um,
Mhm.
but I guess, like, the overarching theme would just be how, like, small details can have a huge impact.
Yeah.
Um, I'm all about providing a really great holistic experience. So I think all of the little touches are huge, and like we said earlier, over communication is not possible. I think we're always trying to find new ways to make sure that we're communicating well and efficiently and are providing the best possible experience for our customers and internal headians too, because they also count for things like um, kickoff and accelerator and things like that. So just trying to make
Yeah.
sure that we're thinking of everything and even in the small details is huge. So whether it's like communication efforts for leading up to an event, making sure they receive their confirmation numbers on time, making sure that they are provided a ride of some sort to and from the airport, or that they're thought of for the little rides in between with an Uber voucher code, or the small little gifts that we provide them when they arrive in their hotel room. So it's just kind of all of those little things that add up that they feel special. And everyone has a busy schedule and everyone's running around from thing to thing. So when they're finally at your event, you want to just make sure they feel taken care of. So
Yeah, and that's where it is. Like, I talk about this with the proposal design team that I used to run, like,
Mhm.
there's the major things that are, like, obvious that you need to make sure that you're looking out for, but a lot of the time, the devil's in the details, like, people may or may not notice those little changes. Like people won't notice when you're working on those little tiny details because they don't even think about it. But when that one little thing is off, it gets stuck in someone's mind. And so when you
Yeah.
make everything as seamless as possible, oh, don't worry about getting there. Don't worry
Mhm.
about getting from the airport to the other thing. Don't worry about eating. Don't worry about like, hey, guess what? You got a little surprise pack when you got to the hotel or whatever it is. And guess what? We're gonna make sure that you get to hear easy. Like when you make it seamless and easy for anyone, and that applies for proposals, that applies to experience marketing. Like
Yeah.
it just has so much of a major impact on someone where you're like, oh man, like I feel pampered. I feel taken care of.
Yeah, that's the goal. And I mean, it's like Murphy's Law is real. Things are gonna go wrong. Um, but I feel like it really is like the best planners or best experienced marketers know, um, they're really great problem solvers. So, like, if something goes
Mhm.
wrong, they're ready to hop in and adapt quickly and adjust things so that people don't even notice that something went wrong. So
Caitlin, I was so excited when we were first talking about getting you onto the podcast and just kind of, we've already talked about some of the experience marketing stuff before, but kind of getting to dive deeper is really,
Mhm.
made me think about all the effort that you and the rest of the experience marketing team are putting into our experiences and our events, right? We're talking about for employees like Kickoff, Sales Accelerator, our new hire swag, all the way to our clients with like VIP experiences and everything. And it sounds like you really pour like everything into that, and we feel the effect of it, so thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Caitlin.
That's so nice. Appreciate it.
Of course, appreciate you. So, well, we'll get back to it, and thanks for hopping on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Welcome, listeners. I have Josh Perkins here with us again. If anybody already watched the Inspiring Innovation Through Community episode, we got to explore his excitement for the groundbreaking technologies that are shaping our future and the communities of excellence that he has here at Ahead. But we're bringing Josh back to talk about some experience marketing. But before we get into that, Josh, how are you doing?
Good, man. Glad to be back. Glad to get to speak to everybody again. So excited for the discussion.
For sure. I think our last one was originally like 45 minutes, which for everyone listening is probably about 15 minutes over our usual recording time. And then I had the challenge of editing that down. But I always love our conversations. I find you to be so incredibly insightful. But for our listeners who maybe haven't had the opportunity to meet you yet, do you mind reintroducing yourself?
Sure. So Josh Perkins, I look after our emerging technologies ecosystem at Ahead. So think of that as we try to come up with what's next, right, for the firm and create mechanisms for us to kind of paint that picture or vision with our clients and then back into that in terms of the types of solutions that we develop and build and deploy for those folks. And as part of that, we get to do great things like lead our brilliant field CTO team, look after our briefings, program, labs, and kind of other components throughout the business. And obviously, more important to this discussion, get to spend a lot of time with our events marketing team and experiences team to focus on how do we open the aperture to our clients as to what we can go do.
Yeah, yeah, and I think there's two recent experiences that you were just part of that I'd love to kind of like focus in on today, and that's NVIDIA GTC. We got the recent like partner award. Like we're super excited about this partnership. I see you're talking about it all the time. You were at NVIDIA GTC. I think you even got to present, so I'd love to hear about that. And that's kind of like a macro scale, right? We're talking big global event, and then you just also got out of our healthcare summit. Which is a much more micro event, but very, very tailored and specific to some of our healthcare clients and the leaders at those organizations. So, for the folks listening, this is kind of what's going to frame our conversation today. And I'm really excited to kind of learn more about this. And Josh, I'm wondering from your perspective, like how important are those experience and, event marketing that we're doing to your strategy, our strategy, and honestly, more important, our clients' business goals?
I mean, I think they're critical, frankly, for a number of reasons. I think the most obvious one is just it's really important for our brand, right? Like things that we can do to create visibility to the great work that our teams are doing and in the confines or specifically aligned to what our clients see as the impact from what we're doing just pays long-term dividends in general for the firm, right? And helps kind of create those long-term lottery tickets for people to see the great work we're doing and showcasing that. I think additionally from that, it's really all about the idea that these events change the narrative, right, for our clients, especially the smaller ones and the vertically oriented ones. It's a mechanism for us to do a substantial amount of listening and not just talking, which I think is really important. And it creates a safe space to a large degree for our clients to connect and share and really help us understand them a lot better and the challenges that they're kind of working through, which in my opinion puts us in a great position to then go actually help them, right? And respond to what we learned through those scenarios. The other piece is that, these events in most circumstances is really focused on decision makers, right? And major influencers within these organizations, within our clients. And so even just connecting them with other decision makers and clients of the firm creates mechanisms where these people sell to each other on our behalf based on the work that we've done with them.
Yeah.
And I think like the healthcare summit was a really good example of this where, this year we really didn't talk about ahead. We just created mechanisms to showcase the great work that clients were doing in their own words, right? In their own framing. And naturally, as a side effect of that, they would talk about the work that our teams were doing in support of those efforts. And so it just completely changes, right, the motion from us like marketing to people to our best clients marketing for us. And I think it's invaluable, right? And we should be looking for every opportunity to do that. And it massively helps our ability to verticalize as well, which can be really hard for businesses to shift from like, we do a lot of things for a lot of people. And sometimes that's very horizontal, right, in nature. Like we built
Mhm.
technology solutions that get used in a whole bunch of different ways. But when you bring those folks together, it creates a immediate narrowing of like, what are we building that helps them solve specific problems directly in their domains?
Yeah, I actually just recently participated in a roundtable about employee experience and just kind of what that landscape is like today. And I got the person who was organizing this, the organization, zero slides on them. Didn't talk about themselves at all. They just got a bunch of people into the same a bunch. I think there was about 10 of us. Got us into the same room and was asking about us about our challenges, what we're seeing, what's working, what isn't, stuff like that. And people just jump in right away, and everyone's got like thoughts that they want to share, and you just create like this like space for people to be able to talk about this with other experts that they otherwise wouldn't have connected with. I have 3 follow-on meetings with 3 different other organizations to go and talk, and we're just gonna be sharing, and it's because of that organization that put us together. I will remember that, like, "Hey, you got us thinking." And one of the things you wrote about the healthcare event was you were talking about how these leaders are so willing to just jump in and help each other out, and I think when you kinda, like, you create that space and you just let them go, you're just there to kind of be like, "Hey, need
Yep.
some food, drink, like, what."
We just want to nurture, right, that
Yeah, yeah.
circumstance and be part of it and create good takeaways and better understand what's going on. I think the other piece of that too that you kind of touched on is people know who brought them together, right? Like
Mhm.
we don't have to talk a substantial amount and pitch ourselves a substantial amount because the people just appreciate hearing and being connected with the other people that are going through the same things. And
Yeah.
it goes a long way in a very organic way to changing the way that you're viewed, right, as a advisor and partner in what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and I think yeah, you're saying organic. I find it incredibly authentic. I'm like, listen, you didn't come in here with your little package thing or whatever, and it was a trap. It wasn't. You were like literally like, hey, I think everyone can benefit from something like this, and I think you would be a great addition to this. Like, it seemed like
Yeah.
yeah, just felt very personalized. I think that's like the opportunity with experience marketing.
I do too. I think we have to apply it in particular ways, right? And leverage
Hmm.
it in a way that's infrequent enough to be impactful, but frequent enough to be top of mind. Um,
Yeah.
and I think the other kind of vector here that we're obviously way on top of in terms of applying event marketing and experience marketing in general is not every industry operates the same way in this regard. So we're
Hmm.
talking a lot about healthcare, but healthcare naturally operates pretty altruistically. Like they genuinely are fairly non-competitive with one another, which helps, right, a lot from a
Hmm.
sharing
Yeah.
perspective. And you do get the sense through those discussions, like that a rising tide raises all boats. Like they just genuinely care that the patient outcome is the core idea. And if that means like everybody getting better at technology and using it more efficiently, and that allows them to use more dollars towards the patient and create better outcomes for the patient, like they're willing to share. I would say like you can't assume that's going to be true in every kind of vertical that we work in. Like you
Yeah.
probably can't do that same thing with high frequency trading firms or capital markets teams, that it's a winner take all type of a scenario.
Yeah.
But we can, right, in a lot of the industries that we work in. And it also kind of positions us to say that the event marketing needs to shift and mold like into different kind of constructs based on who we're in front of, right? And the
Yeah.
nature of the people that we're dealing with. And I do think our events team does a great job at helping us tailor the experience in totality. And then folks from my team tend to work on what is the content and facilitation strategy that's going to get these people interacting in the right way, but in a non-blocking, non-confrontational scenario to the best of our ability.
Mhm.
And I think the combination of those two things seems to be working really well.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you can share like a specific example of an event or an experience that did that in a really good way and created like meaningful opportunity for
Sure. I mean, I think we've started doing, more of these kind of summit-based ideas over the last couple of years. So, even in the example of Healthcare Summit, like this was really our second annual Healthcare Summit in Chicago, and we're going to continue doing them. We'll probably increase the frequency even based on the feedback from the folks in the room. But last year, we also did this for the financial services sector, and we did it actually hosted by our largest client in that field, Bank of New York. And we're rehosting that this year for the second go around with them again in June. And I would just say like the big things for me in that were we used the experience and the innovation of our largest customer to show other clients and potential clients what good looked like and what was possible as a side effect of collectively working in that direction. And so
Mhm.
coming out of that summit, created multiple opportunities with organizations that maybe we weren't really doing all that much business with, but then that viewed us differently as a mechanism to be a catalyst or accelerator for the work they wanted to do based on what they saw at that event.
How does a summit? You were talking about how a summit can shape the perception of a, but like how does also something like massive like a NVIDIA GTC also shape the perception?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're two kind of pretty wildly different approaches, right? I,
Hmm.
when you look at something like an NVIDIA GTC, that's all about kind of broader brand building and credibility assertion, right? Like what we're trying to do there is multiple fronts. You're trying to better associate ahead as a brand with market leading OEMs and technology providers like NVIDIA in that circumstance.
Hmm.
And what makes that, I think, even more credible is the fact that we were able to do that with clients, in tandem with
Yeah.
clients. And so it's not just kind of us saying, hey, a massively innovative company like NVIDIA thinks ahead is important. It's ahead's investing in that ecosystem and organization. And by the way, our clients are aligned to that better together story, which I think is way more powerful, generally speaking, than just us talking about us, right? Um, and then
Yeah.
I think on top of that, it also goes a long way, especially when we do kind of the conferences component well. It's bi-directional, right? It's like our team's getting exposed to that ecosystem and spending time immersed in kind of what's going on and what's in the zeitgeist around that particular space. And then it's also just a massive amount of high frequency exposure, right, on both sides. So when we look at conferences as a component of event marketing, it's as much about us being there and being present and like people seeing that, right, and associating those things together, which is super important. But it's also about just the access, right, that our teams get to their teams and vice versa through that
Hmm.
concentration, right, of time. And we
Yeah.
can just make so much headroom with like the buy-in and the time together with those teams. And I think the NVIDIA is one's a really good example, because if you look at how far we've come in that partnership in like an 18-month period,
I was gonna
it's
say quick.
astounding, right? Like
Yeah.
it's astounding. And I think some of that is just us showing an incredible eagerness to lean in, right, with their teams
Mhm.
and be different and bring what we know and love about Ahead to them in partnership, and them returning that desire and belief in kind, right? So I think it's like events marketing in general has to be broken out into like a lot of different types of things in order to be really effective. And I think the
Yeah.
teams have done a really good job at like balancing, like, one, I would just say frequency, right? You can't do like 100 of these things a year. It doesn't work, right? We still
Mhm.
have to go out and help clients actually do work.
Yeah.
Um, but ultimately, it's a good mix of like intimate, small setting, highly impactful, social rapport building events with top clients and prospects, intermixed with like a broad base of regional things, conferences, and like taking conferences very seriously, maybe even more seriously than we have traditionally, way more structure around participation this
Nice.
year, even than we had in previous years, which I'm really excited about. And I think the team in general has done a great job of. And then I think the thing that maybe doesn't get encapsulated there, but probably should, is the sheer acceleration in our briefings and solutions experience program, which is kind of the fast, high frequency version of some of these events where we're still trying
Mhm.
to distill this like great experience, this transformative idea for our clients, but on a very one off, right? Like client specific notion with the attempt to help them say, we work in enterprises, and oftentimes in enterprises, like you can become one thing to an enterprise pretty easily. It's
Yeah.
really hard to become many things to that enterprise. And
Mhm.
I think those like lower level solutions experiences are all about how quickly can we change from somebody that does something really well to helps them build a platform across things at speed. Um,
Yeah.
it works. Like it works, and the volume in the program with the support of the sales team and events team and others has just continued to explode year over year. And I think it's a really good early investment and indicator of the downstream return we'll get from those types of efforts.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're talking about like experience marketing can be broken up into so many things. That's always like I've got like the marketing degree, and then I've got someone who's like, "Oh, you can help me with like AdWords, you can help me with this." Yeah, I'm like, this is such a huge umbrella, and then we just get into events, and that's another massive umbrella within there. And it
For
sounds
sure.
like our team does a really good job of like taking care of all of those pieces and making sure to leverage the right tools in the right situations.
Yeah, and build a process around it so that we understand and can uncover the things that work really well and leverage
Mhm.
those over and over again. And then I would say like Anita and Caitlin and that whole team have also done just a great job of experimenting and trying new things and like keeping stuff fresh because
Yeah.
while we're hosting events, we have to recognize that like our clients are doing similar or tangential things with a lot of other technology providers as well. Hopefully,
Mhm.
none that are meaningfully competitive to a head, but ultimately, like, how do you make our experience different than what they're doing with Microsoft or different than what they're doing with Dell or someone else? And I think the team has just done a stellar job, like world class, in my opinion, at making sure that the clients walk away uh, thinking that it's one of the best things they've attended in their professional careers in this type of a setting. And I think as long as we can keep that up, right, like the bar is high. As long as we keep investing in that the right way, uh, massively productive for the business.
That's awesome. I'm curious. We did. There are a lot of events, and I'm sure you probably get invited to some of these other ones too. In between, like our partners and what we're doing, and our clients and everything. I'm curious, like, what's your favorite part of attending something like this?
I mean, I know it's probably going to sound like kind of on the nose. I genuinely think it's the time with the people, right? Like,
Hmm.
yes, the experience is great. Yes, we do really cool things, but the really cool thing is better because you're doing it with people, and the outcome is that you built rapport, you built a social and personal relationship with folks, which extends then into the professional setting as a side effect of that. I think the other piece of it I would just say is that we we keep it really fresh. So like the ability to do these events is fun because it's always something different. And the clients keep coming because it's always something different.
Yeah.
And I think like that's probably those are my two favorite things is like the discussions that exist in these settings are unlike most we normally get exposed to on a day-to-day basis. And then
Hmm.
just the ability to go build social connections with people in really fun and maybe unusual settings that you may not do yourself individually if you weren't in that situation.
Yeah. You keep talking about keeping things fresh, and my mind keeps going to like tchotchkes and how like never fresh they are.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, like, what is your favorite tchotchke at like one of the bigger events that you can go to?
I mean, one of the ones behind me has been a staple now for multiple years, which is the team made these like really nice throw blankets, and they were in
Yeah.
this like care kit, which was like perfectly aligned to the setting everyone was in. So like it was like a survival kit for the circumstances, but done
Mm.
really, really well. And I think like the tchotchke thing, like if quality is a major factor in the
Yes,
stickiness of the impact of the giveaway. And the team's done a really good job of doing less things at higher quality as a mechanism to make them more impactful. And I think that is the motion, right? It's like
for sure.
you want things that people are going to hold on to and carry forward and like actually use, right? In order to do that, you have to create quality items as a side effect.
Absolutely. I think that the good stuff always sticks and the bad stuff is always like, oh my gosh. In a previous marketing role, I'll never forget it later. It's like come by and I'd gotten a free tchotchke thing and I had taken out like my CTA card and at one swipe just removed the logo off of the tchotchke.
Oh,
The
geez.
leader was so upset. He's like, "This is anti-marketing." I was like, "Hey, if you're gonna give me something that costs you like 10 cents or 25 cents or whatever, like I'm not gonna remember that." But like that throw blanket, or I've actually got Hannah Park had given me a water bottle like 6 years ago, and my go-to water bottle every day. It is so good. I haven't seen another water
Yeah.
bottle like that. I have it at the gym. It's got like a nice flat top for my phone when it's up there. I'm like, when you've got the good stuff, it lasts and makes an impact, and that's what like people remember that stuff. So
For sure. For sure.
awesome, Josh. Well, that's all the questions I got for you. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to share about kind of the experience marketing or what we're doing with emerging technologies.
No, I mean, I think the big ask of this would just be like trust the teams and get, for if you're an account team listening, like get your get your clients involved. Like they're great
Mhm.
experiences. They're huge investments, right, in our teams and in your business. And
Yeah,
so I would just say like, lean in, right? Like leverage the programs. It will pay off.
love it. Josh, thank you for hopping on today.
No problem. Good to see you, Nick.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Life at Ahead podcast. Today, we explored how Ahead's experience marketing team goes above and beyond to create unforgettable experiences at the biggest tech conferences. We learned about the strategy, creativity, and collaboration it takes to make these events successful and how they help drive opportunities for Ahead, our clients, and our partners. If you are as inspired as I am by the incredible work of the experience marketing team, be sure to join us for future episodes where we continue to celebrate the people and culture that make Ahead a great place to work. As always, stay tuned, stay well, and stay ahead. Aheadians.